Numbers chapter 14, we're going to look at verses 4 and 8 today. And they said to one another, "Let us choose a leader and go back to Egypt." And in verse 8, we read another view. "If the Lord delights in us, he will bring us into this land and give it to us, a land that flows with milk and honey." What a contrast in opinions that we see right here. Here we see two groups of people. One group chooses the superior and the other the inferior. After the spies came back from scoping out the promised land, the people of the nation chose the inferior choice, the inferior opinion. They chose the path of rebellion against the Lord. They chose to go back into bondage in Egypt rather than the blessing of the promise that God had for them. In contrast, a different group that included Joshua and Caleb chose the superior. They chose to trust the Lord and seek the promise. They reaped based upon their choices, these two groups did. The people of the nation would not experience the blessing. Only Joshua and Caleb would see the blessing of the promised land. In life, we face many choices. We have the option to choose the superior or the inferior. And the superior choice is one that moves us toward the plans of God for us. This way requires faith, for it is often full of challenges and unknowns. However, it is the way of blessing because it is one in which we join God in His program. In contrast, the inferior choice is one that is contrary to the purpose and ways of God. And while this choice often seems easy and comfortable, it is not the way of blessing. When we face challenges, especially the major ones, we need to consider our decisions. Are we making superior choices that align with God's purposes and ways as revealed in His Word, or are we making inferior choices that do not consider the Lord's program? Too often we make the decisions without giving any real thought to what the Lord would have us do. The results of this approach can be quite disastrous. In churches, leaders are often guilty of setting a course for the church without seeking the Lord's direction. The course may even be good and intent on having a noble goal, but may not be in the Lord's program or timing for the church at that phase of their life. Leaders do this and then wonder why the church struggles. And the problem also presents itself in family decisions, in businesses, arrangements, and so on. Churches and believers should always seek the Lord first, then determine the superior way, which is His way. When we have a decision to make, we must spend much time in prayer, seeking guidance from the Lord and not our own wisdom. We must search the Scriptures for His wisdom. We must seek the counsel of trustworthy Christian counselors. And when we do these things, we will be on a superior path, one that aligns us with the purposes and plans that God has for us.